Hey everybody, it's Janice with Creating Through Chaos, and we're going to start this project off with this pumpkin from Dollar Tree. I'm going to peel off their bow, and then I'm going to use a little heat to get rid of the rest of the hot glue. I also pulled off the hanger. Next, I'm going to take this scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to run it along the spaces on the pumpkin and all those grooves so that I'll be able to cut this scrapbook paper out and Mod Podge it on. So I'm just running my fingers around the edges of all those raised pieces, and as you can see, it gives you the marks, and then I'm just going to cut those out. Once I have those all cut out, I'm going to set them aside, but first thing I'm going to do is just make sure that they fit. Next, I'm going to take some burnt orange paint, and I'm going to paint the back side of the pumpkin. I'm not going to get any paint on those raised pieces. I'm just going to paint the back side. So I just used a small brush and went along and painted the whole pumpkin. As you can see, I left the centers, and this is where I'm going to put my scrapbook paper in. So I'm just going to take some Mod Podge, and then I'm going to add all three of those papers. I made sure that I used quite a bit of Mod Podge and that it was even. And now I'm going to lay my pieces on, make sure that they're aligned the way that they're supposed to be. And I'm going to repeat the process for the other two. So once I have those all on and they are dry, I'm going to take that pumpkin and I'm going to put it over one of the bigger plain pumpkins from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to put that right in the center, and then I'm going to just use a pencil and go around the edges. And I'm going to put this scrapbook paper on just those edge pieces. So I'm just going to lay the scrapbook paper down, kind of figure out where I drew my lines to, and then just cut off those pieces. So I'm going to repeat that process on both sides. This is just so I don't have to Mod Podge the whole thing and put the paper on the whole thing and kind of not waste paper. It may be easier just to go across the whole thing. But as you can see, I got a good chunk of paper that's still left. So again, I'm just going to Mod Podge this on. So I'm just going to add some Mod Podge on either side and then lay that scrapbook paper down. And I'll lift that one up. And as you can see the lines where I made the lines for the scrapbook paper to go. And then once I have all of my Mod Podge on, I'm just going to lay those papers down, and then I'm going to let them dry. I'll lay this one down on this side. Kind of press it down, make sure that I have it even, and then repeat that on the same on the other side. And then I let that dry for a little bit, and then I sanded off the excess after it was dry. So I'm just going to use my little micro sander and sand around and got all of that off. So as you can see, we're going to lay that on top of that when we're done. Next, I'm going to take the other pumpkin and I'm going to sand that also. I sanded around the raised area in the center, and I also sanded around all of the edges. So once I have them all sanded, I am going to take some antique wax and I'm going to go around both of the pumpkins. Just around the edges, and then I did around the inside of this one with the paper. I kind of did up onto the paper a little bit. I just wanted it to have a rustic look to blend into the paper that I used on the other pumpkin. So as you can see, I'm just kind of blending it all in. I'm going to repeat the same process on the other pumpkin and just on the edges. And as you can see, I'm going to lay that on top of that. So I'm going to hot glue that into place. I'm going to make sure that it's lined up perfectly with the stem and the bottom so that you can't see the other pumpkins from the bottom, the back one. This one I want to cover the whole front. Once I have it secured into place, I'm going to take some twine and I'm going to wrap it around the stem. But before I did that, I just took a little bit of that orange paint and painted the other stem on the pumpkin just where you could see it, because I didn't want you to be able to see through the twine and see that it was just the plain wood. I wanted it to match with the orange. So I just kind of dried it real quick, and I'm going to take some hot glue and add it to the back And then I'm just going to wrap it around the whole stem. And I'm going to wrap until it gets to the top and that it's all filled in. And make sure that I kept it tight. Kind of layering if you have to. And there it is, all finished. Once I had that on, I am just going to take this raffia bow that I made and I'm going to add that right underneath that stem. And I used orange and burgundy raffia to match the papers that I used. And that is it. This project is all finished. I think this turned out so super cute and was fun and totally just different. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope it inspires you to make one. And as always, don't forget to spread the chaos.